So today, we're going to talk about a real visionary, an anthropologist named Edward T. Hall. And what's wild is that decades ago, he came up with these ideas about culture that were so on the money that modern neuroscience is really only just now catching up and proving him right. I mean, think about it. We live in this age where we're all hyper-connected, right? You can talk to anyone, anywhere in an instant. But at the same time, from social media flame wars to actual global conflicts, it really feels like we're more divided than ever. And that's the big paradox we're digging into today. Turns out it's a question two brilliant minds were wrestling with way back at the dawn of the global age. So on one side, you had the media guru Marshall McLuhan. You've probably heard of him. He coined the famous term global village. And on the other side, you had Edward Hall. Now, they both saw globalization coming a mile away, but they had these completely different takes on what it was actually going to mean for all of us. McLuhan was, the ultimate tech optimist. He really believed that all this new media, radio, TV, would just naturally bring us all together into one big, happy global family. You connect everyone, and boom, instant understanding. But Hall was way more skeptical. He said, hold on a second. The real problem isn't a lack of technology. The real barrier is internal. It's inside our own heads. He was convinced that no amount of contact could fix the deep, unconscious cultural programming that shapes how we see everything. For him, getting to real understanding wasn't about logging on, it was about embarking on this difficult, personal journey of self-discovery. And this quote just nails his whole idea. He's saying culture isn't just about the food you eat or the holidays you celebrate. No, it's this invisible software that puts blinders on you. It's running in the background, controlling your thoughts and your assumptions, and you don't even know it's there. He once compared it to a jet stream, this powerful invisible force that's guiding you, and you're completely oblivious to it. So for decades, this was just a really interesting debate, right? The tech guy versus the culture guy. But here's the kicker. In the last few years, neuroscience has finally weighed in, and the verdict? It's stunningly clear. Hall was absolutely right. You see, scientists now know that a huge chunk of our thinking is done by what they call the intuitive mind. Just think of it like your brain's autopilot. It handles all the really complicated stuff that feels totally automatic to us, like reading a friend's expression, navigating a crowded room, or just getting that gut feeling for what seems normal or right. This thing is incredibly powerful, and here's the important part. It operates almost completely outside of our conscious awareness. Okay, so if we have this powerful autopilot running the show, what does that actually mean for culture? Well, for starters, it means culture isn't some app you can just download or delete. It's not just a list of facts you memorize for a test. It's way, way deeper than that. It's the operating system, the OS, your brain is using to process reality every single second. From the moment you're born, your environment, your culture, it's shaping how your brain gets wired. It influences your sense of self, how you read emotions, everything. It gets so deeply integrated that it feels as natural and as fundamental to you as breathing or speaking your native language. And here's the really crucial part. This whole setup leads to what you could call an architecture of bias. Our brains are basically hardwired to make snap judgments. It's an old survival mechanism. So things like ethnocentrism, favoring what's familiar to you, that's basically a default setting. And stereotyping, it's a mental shortcut, a way for your brain to process a ridiculously complex world without crashing. Now, saying this stuff is natural is absolutely not saying it's good or okay, but it does mean that just having good intentions isn't enough to fix it. To really overcome it, you have to understand the deep structure of your own mind. Which brings us to the real challenge that Hall was trying to get us to see. It's not enough to just be aware of other cultures. That's surface-level stuff. The real goal is something much deeper, something he called insight. Let's just break this down for a second. Cultural awareness is what most people think of, right? It's knowing facts about other countries, recognizing different customs. It's an intellectual thing. But cultural insight, that's what Hall was after. That's when you develop an intuitive feel for why people do what they do. And even more important, it's when you start to finally see your own hidden biases and assumptions. It stops being about learning about them and becomes a deep internal process of learning about you. And that's really the heart of it all. Hall's point was that you can't just step outside of your own culture like taking off a jacket. It doesn't work that way. The real work, what he called the greatest separation feat of all, is to turn inward and become conscious of that invisible programming that's been running inside your head your entire life. And listen, Hall did not think this was just some small self-help exercise. He believed that learning to see beyond our own cultural blinders, freeing ourselves from that unconscious grip, was literally the single most important task facing humanity. Number one, period. So that kind of leaves us with one final and pretty challenging question. A question that really gets to the core of Hall's entire life's work. It's not about what someone else's culture is doing. It's about you. If your culture is the invisible operating system running your mind, what are those subtle, powerful currents that are guiding your thoughts, your feelings, and your gut reactions right now?